And thanks for joining again. We're here for our May update on applying for teacher training. For those of you that haven't joined before, Rach and I work at the recruitment team for Now Teach. Now Teach is a charity that supports career changers transition into secondary school teaching. So we've got some good information, I think, that we can share with people today. So you've been talking to a lot of Now Teachers recently. It seems to be a busy time for career changers.
Yes, yeah, busy time of the year. We're sort of in the summer term now, so it's sort of all go for us and for the training providers. So yeah, it's been nice having conversations with Now Teachers to really help them get on their way and find the right place for them in September.
Brilliant. Well, for those of you watching at home, Rach and I are going to cover some important things for those of you that are considering career changing to teaching right now. We'll just touch on some of the general issues, and of course, if you do want any specific advice, we've got consultation calls that will be personalised to your own circumstances, where we can give you some more information. But given how busy it is, and given how how far we are in the recruitment season to date, what's the key things that we should cover in the next 5-10 minutes, Rach?
I think it'd be good to give everyone a bit of an overview of where we are in the recruitment calendar and really understand what that means for career changers who are looking to move into sort of secondary school teaching.
Brilliant. Great. Well, let's get stuck straight into it then. So, yeah, tell me a little bit more about the recruitment calendar.
Well, the recruitment calendar tends to follow the sort of academic year. So when we're looking at teacher training applications, they open in the October, and then you will see that their advertisers closing in September. Really, when you get to September, there aren't as many courses left. So at the moment, it's a key time to actually make that application because we are in the summer term. Summer holidays will come around very quickly. So it's similar to if you have applied for an undergraduate degree, very similar to that kind of flow of sort of making that application, securing it, and then starting in September.
Right. So it's like the milk rounds, if I remember back to my graduate days. So that brings us through, right? And at Now Teach, we would recommend that our candidates express an interest with us by the 22nd of June, not because that's a deadline for any particular training provider, but because those vacancies are filling up really, really quickly up and down the country. So we want to make sure that that those of you that are looking to apply are able to get into the training provider of their choice, and make sure that you can start your career transition in September. So Rach, you mentioned some calls with candidates this morning. I'm just interested, for those that are just starting out in the journey, maybe just tuning in and thinking, right, I want to make the step. I want to make the jump into secondary school teaching next year. So starting in September 26. What would they need to think of first?
I think it's important to really think about what you want from your sort of teacher training course, because there are a lot of teacher training providers out there. So it's worth having a think, because as we know, career changes, you might have external commitments that you also need to factor into your teacher training. So having a think of sort of location of your potential sort of placement school. Also having a real think about the subject that you want to teach. That's quite important. In terms of eligibility, you generally do need a sort of undergraduate degree or an A-level graded above a B in your subject. Some providers are happy to take into account career background as well. So have a think about what you want to teach. It's important that you do have a real interest in the subject, and that it's something you can see yourself teaching for sort of the foreseeable future. It's also as well, if you are sort of thinking, if you've sort of tick those boxes, the next step is really thinking about your motivations to teach. You'll be asked to write a 1,000 word personal statement and also asked to talk about it in an interview. So that's kind of a really good point to really bring you back to the why. Why am I doing this? Why is this the right sort of journey for me? And then obviously we are here at Now Teach to help guide and help you find the right teacher training course, because we appreciate there's a lot of information out there when you're looking by yourself.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So just this, I suppose, bringing it back to maybe the subject for a moment. I studied history at university. I did A levels, did a science A level, did English A level, but I've always really been interested in physics. But I guess I wouldn't be able to teach physics without a physics A level or a physics degree. Is that right?
In some cases, yes, but in some cases, no. If you have, if you feel like you have enough sort of subject knowledge in the area, you can talk to training providers about that. You can also follow set courses in order to increase your subject knowledge. You can also take an A-level if you wanted to. This time of year, you wouldn't have time to do that, but you could sort of for next year. So yeah, there are opportunities to increase your subject knowledge if it was a subject you're particularly interested in.
Yeah, fantastic. But I guess, as you say, time's pressing, right? So if I was going to do a subject knowledge enhancement, I would need to do that pretty quickly. How would I go about looking at that? Is there anything that I need to be aware of around the subject knowledge piece?
Well, at the moment, we're sort of through the end of term. Sadly, a lot of the funding was pulled for subject knowledge enhancement courses, so the funded options are quite limited this time of year. You definitely can self-fund if that's something you wanted to do, but training providers are putting things in place for those people who are moving through with the subject to help them develop that subject knowledge. So it could be a self-study plan. It would be worked out between yourself and the actual training provider. So if there is a subject you're really interested and passionate and you've got that drive to actually prepare before September, don't let it put you off, because there are still options out there for you.
Brilliant. But as you say, it's getting tight, isn't it? So I need to get stuck into it quite quickly. But how about finance in general? I mean, I know that some bursaries were cut this year, particularly for English and biology, but others are still relatively high. Is it easy to access them, and particularly at this stage in their recruitment calendar?
Yes, I mean, there's no specific application for a bursary. So as long as you're in one of the subjects that comes with a bursary, then you would be awarded that. Um, if for any reason your subject doesn't come with a bursary, there is also financial support for you as well. You obviously are always eligible for student finance for the sort of tuition fee loans. Even if you do get the bursary, you can still get that extra support. And you can also talk to student finance if you're in a non-bursary subject about maintenance loans and maintenance grants that some of our now teachers are eligible for. They are means tested, so it is a conversation with student finance, but there is support out there, and also for childcare costs and any additional costs you might incur by studying full time.
Great. That sounds good. Okay. So you've got me. I'm going to do it. I'm not too sure I want to do physics because I'm thinking, am I going to get up to speed with that? History might be a good place for me to start. Finance, right? I know how to work. I can work through that. If I was to do something tomorrow to kickstart my career transition, what would that one thing be? You mentioned DFE. How would I go about applying, and what do I need to sort of prepare for that kind of application?
For the application, I think a lot of our career changers do find it a bit tricky to find their certificates sometimes. So it's sort of getting those GCSE certificates. You do need your GCSEs in Maths and English graded C or above. If you sort of think, oh, I haven't got that, or I can't find my certificate, you can either get a reprint of your certificate. If your grades weren't quite there, then you can do an equivalency test. So that doesn't rule you out. Next step, I would say, again, thinking about location of the school that you'd like to go to. If you can get into for school experience, that's a great idea. But this time of the year, it can be tricky because we're in exam season. So some of the schools don't have as much capacity. But if you actually contact some of the training providers, they might have some opportunities for you. Writing your personal statement, it's one of those things that's sometimes quite hard to start, but we're here to help as well, sort of guide with that. And yeah, just really sort of thinking about subject, motivation to teach, where you want to teach, and they're kind of all in line. And then when you've got your 4 choices, because you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket, you can choose 4, keep your options as wide as possible, apply for the 4, and then you can really decide which one's for you when you're at that interview stage.
Great, that's really helpful. Thank you. So I'm going to do a little bit of thought then, and I'll do a bit of exploration around the loft firstly, to see if I've got those certificates, which I think is a good place to start. It's really helpful around the subject piece. So I want to consider which subject would best suit me. And yeah, I suppose there is the immediate bit, but I'm going to be teaching potentially for the next 15, 20 years. So I want to make sure it's the right subject. So I guess I'll consider that. And yeah, thinking about personal statements and that application process, I think is going to be really, really important. Brilliant. Okay, so I've got my next steps. I think we know where to go. So for those of you listening in, yeah, please do take note. Please do have a think about what we've shared with you today. Thanks very much, Rach. That sounds really helpful. And I'd urge anyone that's listening in and is still with us, once you've got those things kind of sorted out in your own mind, a great opportunity then is to express an interest on the Now Teach website, get through to Rach or one of the team that will be able to support you on those next steps. And I suppose most importantly, or as importantly, connect to other people of a similar background, of a similar age, career changes from up and down the country, of a whole host of different lived experience and professional backgrounds, are part of that network that I guess I'll have access to, Rach, won't I? If I as soon as I express that interest to share some stories and get some hints and tips. Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time this afternoon, Rach. Good to see you. And for those of you listening, we hope to find an expression of interest form on our doormat or on our virtual doormat over the next few days. Thank you very much. And yeah, I look forward to speaking to you again in the next month.